And thank all of you for your service through, obviously, one of the great challenges this country has ever faced in its public health history, the pandemic. And then coming out of the pandemic, now we see other challenges. Let me talk a little bit about COVID-19 and the lessons learned. And we learned what to do and also what not to do. Again, we're back here with another public health emergency. I guess I'd ask you, Dr. Fauci, and I would want to echo also my gratitude and salutations for, I know that you won't really retire because I don't think you're capable of not contributing to the public good, but I know you'll try. But the pathogen research at NIAID was critical to the development of orthopox vaccines and treatments, obviously a big help with monkeypox. But we may not have stockpiled vaccines for the next pandemic similar to COVID. And I'm just asking, in terms of the next public health emergency, how concerned are you that this next one, the next public health emergency, will be one that we don't have vaccines or therapeutics for?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Senator. We always are concerned when you get a brand new infection that you've had no experience with, that you're not going to have countermeasures, particularly vaccines, that are ready in a timely fashion. So there are two approaches to that. We have described in detail in several publications and in some of our white papers what's called the prototype pandemic and prototype pathogen response. In other words, to look at multiple families, and there are about 7 or 8 high priority families. By families, we mean alpha viruses, arenoviruses, filoviruses, flaviviruses, and to do fundamental core research to, for example, to get commonalities among the pathogens within a family and to start to develop vaccines, put them in phase 1 and have them ready to go. With the new mRNA technologies, it's very simple to switch one epitope or one antigen in and out of the vaccine. That's the core of our approach right now, and I think you'll probably be hearing more about it because that's the thing that we're putting forth as the NIH's contribution to the government-wide pandemic preparedness, is the prototype pathogen approach.
Right. Well, and I support that approach. I think that's the right direction to go, and to make sure that we are as prepared as one can be for what is unknowable, and respect that, the challenges of that, of preparation, but also the urgency. And we can agree and argue about, I think the government agencies across the board are going through the issues of how many people are going to work and how many people are working remotely. Every large corporation is dealing with this right now, and we're going to have to process through that. But in the meantime, we've got to make sure that we have the funding for pandemic preparedness, because that is essential to the long-term future of this country in almost every way. Let me switch to this outbreak of monkeypox. When it broke out, we had almost 800,000 vials sitting at the manufacturer's facility in Denmark. But the shipment of these critically needed vaccines to the U.S. was held up pending. There was an FDA inspection of the facility, even though European regulators had approved it. So, Dr. Califf, I would ask you, how can we help the FDA better balance safety protocols with the urgency and the need to respond quickly to these emergencies?
Thanks, Senator. The issue that occurred in this case was it was a new plant that BN had switched to. It had not been inspected by the FDA, and I probably don't need to remind you that we had more than one incidence in COVID times of a manufacturing facility not being up to par, which created a lot of difficulty and trouble. So we felt it was essential to get there, and in fact, we got there very quickly after the application came in from the company to do it and the outbreak occurred. But I think the balance here is the risk of a vaccine which is not up to par with the time it takes to make sure that the vaccine coming out actually will do the job that's intended. I'd also just add, Europe doesn't have a central inspections team for vaccine facilities. Each country does its own, and we have had some discordance historically between findings in some of those facilities and what we found in our inspection. So we really felt we had to get this right, even if it took a bit more time.
Okay, fair point. Great. I yield back to the chair.